I am a man. I am not a little boy.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and children over the age of 21, welcome to the Hop Nation USA podcast. My name is Sam, and that familiar voice you're hearing is me, and I am back on the podcast. See, I just had to remind the audience. Yeah, right? Had to remind them. They haven't heard it in a while, not since the holidays. But yeah, I'm back, and this is a very exciting episode for us today, not just because that I'm back. I mean, I don't know if anybody actually cares about that, but...
There's at least one person that cares about that.
Who's that?
You.
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't even care that much this week because we have that special of an episode that I don't even care that I'm back on the show. We are here at the Parkway Theater in McKees Rocks with the guys from Abjuration Brewery. And it's great to be here for another live episode.
We're in the actual theater, too.
Yes.
In the actual theater.
Yeah.
Yes. The Dark Knight is playing right behind us as we speak, on mute. So we'll get your introductions out of the way, because everybody knows you guys. You're on the show every week.
Hey,
So,
it's Steve.
There's Steve across from me, which is very strange, because Steve never sits across from me, but he is today.
And even worse, here is Adam, who is right next to you.
Sharing a mic, no less.
Sharing a mic, that is correct.
Personal space.
So
That's all right. We'll share the bubble.
It's about to get real intimate on this side of the table today, that's for sure. And across from us, in the movie theater style seat, are Dave and Tom from Abjuration Brewery here in McKees Rocks. So, gentlemen, why don't you introduce yourself and tell everybody hello?
Hi, I'm Dave, the head brewer and owner.
I'm Tom. Also, there's two of us, so we both own it. And then I'm the spoon of the operation. I do a lot of stirring. a lot of taking of grain to the alley. A lot of fun stuff. It's really neat when you see the easier it gets, the bigger you get. So that's always our fun.
The easier it gets, the bigger it gets.
Put it on a t-shirt.
Words of wisdom from Tom. I have a feeling we're going to get a lot of little nuggets like that on the show tonight.
I try to keep it to a minimum amount of Yoda. TM, trademark Lucasfilm.
This is not a Yoda-free show, so I mean, honestly, not knock yourself out. Whatever you want to do is cool with us. So, yeah, thank you guys for being on the show. It's great to be here.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, you are welcome. Thank you for hosting us. And we're very excited to be here because I know we've actually been following you guys for quite some time now. I know Abjuration has been in the works. You guys opened up a couple months ago, finally got the brewery open here in the Parkway Theater, which is very exciting. But Steve, Adam, and myself have a bit of history with Abjuration. We've kind of been following you guys around different beer fests in Pittsburgh. And
it's been at least a year and a half.
But who's counting?
That's awesome.
And I've always loved the beer, so very excited to sample some beers here on the show today.
Cool.
So speaking of which, we've gone, 5 minutes at least, and we haven't gotten into the beers yet. The other guest of this show.
Yeah, well, the beer is always the primary guest. The hosts are second, right?
Yeah.
And then whoever else we bring on is third. But today...
Wait a minute, I think you have that backwards.
Yeah, I think
that's
hosts come last.
You're right. You're always on the show.
I understand. Beer is first, but, it goes beer, then Dave and Tom, and then us.
I know. Way to insult our guests in the first 10 minutes, Sam. Way to get back into the swing of things.
Way to come back with the bag.
If we leave it to the beer, the beer's better than we are as people. So we like that too. It's actually better for us.
So let's just jump in then. We want to let you guys introduce the first beer that we're going to be sampling on the show today. It's your beer. You made it. You guys tell us about what we're going to be drinking first.
Sure, absolutely. So this is the Malty Amber Ale. This is the first version of it. So the idea with this beer is we're going to showcase malts in all of the beers. There's a revolution occurring not only in the hop industry but in the malt industry. There are maltsters popping up all around the U.S. And I think it's going to start to make a mark. And I think when you try this beer, you'll see what maltsters just have to offer, even on this first version. So this is going to be a really cool line, a series of beers, a version of beers that we can use this malt in other beers. And with like just this one alone right now, this is it's got Pennsylvania Dutch malt from Deer Creek, and we're definitely using this malt again. It's awesome. Phenomenal flavor. A flavor like I haven't gotten from any type of, it would be kind of like a Munich malt. And so this is kind of, but at the same time, this beer is extremely approachable, which I'm sure Tom would like to mention on. This is like our Yingling Slayer, so if somebody comes in...
I was going to say that, actually.
All right, then.
What do you guys
it's a
have
little,
here that tastes like Yingling?
That's a hot take. That's a hot take on it. Like I would say that across the bar to a customer, but like on a podcast, it's forever. So, but I mean, it's one of the things that not to knock Yingling, because the thing is we're making our beers in such small batches with the 1-barrel system that I would hope that if you made like a meal for one person, it tastes better than if you made it for a cafeteria full of people. So we're always going to hopefully do a little better than Yingling because they have like a 3 billion barrel facility or whatever. So you know what I mean? Like, it's impressive how much water they can make potable, let alone anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
But this one definitely has a. This is what I would consider almost a crossover beer for like your Miller Bud Coors friend when you bring them out to the brewery and they're like hesitant and they don't want to jump right into something super hoppy or something roasty and dark or high ABV. This pretty much eases you right into the brewery, and then hopefully, when you first come in, the customer has a 4-ounce pour. The second beer they have is an 8-ounce pour, and then they're drinking pints and hanging out with their friends. It's like confidence builds, and this is a real confidence booster. We also, in the brewing aspect, we use this for a yeast starter for us. Yeah. So this actually ended up being a really beneficial step for us to like essentially cut costs and like really show off making a malty beer good. Is something you can't hide behind some of the hops. Right. I mean, when you're using, like we use like Strata, that's an amazing pineapple hop that we just had a beer go through our system, and we can't even get Strata this year. I mean, even at our tiny level. And that, like these malts, they really do get the showcase, and it's a fun beer for that.
Awesome. It's almost a gateway beer, if you will, into the Abjuration world of brewing.
Absolutely. After this, it's all vanilla Belgians. So feet are straight up.
Well, hey, Tom, you're not going to have to sell me, but that guy over there is a huge Yingling buff. So if you can convince him, I think everybody's going to enjoy this.
Bottoms up, gentlemen.
These are called sarcastic jokes.
Nobody gets. All right, let's give it a shot.
Yeah.
I know for a fact that I have not tried the Malty Amber yet, so I'm very excited.
Neither have I.
Nor have I.
Looking at it though, it looks a lot like a Yingling. Mm-hmm. So
a touch darker.
Yeah, it is a little
touch darker.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. We think that might be from the malt too. So we have to see.
That's the thing about using new malts that we're not familiar with. I mean, I would have liked it. It almost, the color's near what maybe a brown ale would be.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, just slightly south.
Yeah.
Now it's got a nice malty nose on it. Mm-hmm. Definitely getting that.
Absolutely.
It smells great. I think I'm ready to jump in here, boys.
I already did, but yeah.
I guess I'm the last one.
I was thirsty.
Mine didn't even make it to the drinking. I had it immediately. I wasn't gonna wait.
That was probably like a shot glass for you when tasted beer, right? Got to sample my beer?
Believe it or not, I actually probably drink about, I would say, a third of the beer that Dave does of our own beer. Because he'll bring a growler home on the weekend, because he goes home with his wife and kids, and two kids. And so he'll bring a growler home, for dinner and whatnot. Right. So, and I normally don't have I close it. We close at midnight on Fridays and Saturdays, and then I just take right off. So I'm not sticking around to have that standard shift drink.
Right.
Sure,
And I always think it's better for me to essentially keep my hands out of the cookie jar, because the customers, there's so little beer. One of the reasons we don't do like a standard flight, we do a la carte beers.
Oh, okay.
It's because we don't want people pouring out the hoppy beers that they don't like, because they don't drink hoppy beers anyway. Right. So I'd be better off just waiting to give that to the hopheads when they come in, instead of, and vice versa. If I'm handing out like our strawberry ale and somebody's just dead fast does not like strawberry, they're never going to drink it. So you just poured that beer out for ego of setting it out in the flight. I mean, at best. I mean, you're better off listening to the customer.
That makes sense. And I tell you what, I don't think anybody is going to be dumping out this beer.
No.
Because this is very tasty.
Yeah, using the phrase gateway beer is exactly what this is. I couldn't see anybody turning this one down.
Right, it's incredibly balanced. It has a good malt flavor. You said Deer Park? Or wait,
Deer
Creek.
Deer Creek. It's like the water brand, I guess. Deer Creek was the malt, but I really like it.
Yeah, it's a maltster. It's a Pennsylvania maltster. It's one of the only, I think there's maybe 2 or 3, and that's one of the Pennsylvania ones. So.
Okay. So here's what I find interesting on this beer, and I've talked about this a lot on IPAs, where it has that hop residue, where it kind of sticks around and it tastes like you kind of chewed on a hop pellet for just a little too long. And usually I mean that as a detriment. On this one, it has a malt residue where it kind of sticks around, and I really like that. That's one of the first beers that I've ever had that malt residue where it sticks around a lot longer than the rest of the beer.
I totally agree with you. That's a great assessment of the beer. I totally agree with that.
The yeast on the finish is a perfect complement for the malt structure on it. We've actually had we've gone through a couple yeasts now, just in the 15 brews, 16 brews that we've done in the back, and it's amazing when you see the differences between home brewing and because we thought, oh, we're just stepping up a half a step. It's not. We're doing the exact same thing, but there are actually. I said the easier it gets, the bigger it gets, and that way it's true. You get it's a simpler brew day the bigger the batches are, but the variations are so much more critical.
Right.
Yeah.
Like in home brewing, you know, I mean, no, it's just
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like, hundreds of people hopefully will find out, your nuances with these beers. So, it was a hard choice between this and the strawberry ale on nitro that we have right now for you guys. But we can only pick 3. So it's like trying to pick your 3 favorite kids. It's
well,
You can do it if you have to. Go to your head, but after you really don't want to.
I can certainly see why this is one of your favorite kids.
Yeah.
Why this one got chose right away. This is a really good beer, and it is absolutely perfect as a gateway beer.
Well, it's at a good point of its life cycle. With our beers, especially with the nano and local craft beers that you're normally getting, as opposed to distributed beers, we have a freshness that you're not going to find in a bottle that sat on the shelf for 9 months. But there is an arc for the beers. There's definitely a best served by, and then this one is really in a good spot right now.
Yeah, definitely is.
Good.
Okay, so we already mentioned how this has become one of your babies now. It's one of your favorite children.
Yeah.
Do you have any other favorite children that you want to throw out there? Like, is there anything that we're not going to have today?
Oh, tragically, yeah. Very tragically. We've already gone through 3 beers that I thought were all fantastic. Our American Pale Ale 2.0 was just absolutely outstanding.
Yeah, that was the one with the Strata that he mentioned earlier.
Yeah, I was really sad.
That's a new
that
hop.
we
You're
ran
going
out
to
of
definitely
beers.
hear about that. Hop is legit. So.
Okay.
Is that an American hop, or does that come from South Africa?
It's an American hop. It's from
Oregon, right?
it's from a breeding program with Oregon State.
Yeah, Oregon State.
Ah, okay.
And so this is like 10 years in the making of genetics and modification of, and this is the hop, and it reminds me a little bit of I don't know. There's a strong pineapple-ness, and then maybe nugget hops. If you guys know nugget hops, there's
Okay.
a real dank. I mean, just dirty dank almost a little bit with it. It's a very cool hop.
Well, also the rye brown porter stands out and immediately for other things you didn't get to have, Nyan Nyan and Boo Boo. We just kicked it over the weekend, and it was one of the beers when we were sitting in literally making home beers at his old house.
Yeah, that was the old homebrew recipe one.
And we made it. We used to call beers by names, and this one we used to call Phobos, and because it's this rye, just malty bomb. And we were sitting there thinking, oh, we'd love to put this on nitro. So as soon as we got the hookup here with all of our gas lines, they were like, do you want a nitro? And we're like, absolutely, we need nitro.
Absolutely. Yeah. What kind of question is that?
Double backflip, yes.
Yeah.
Even the Russian judge is like 9.9.
But
I'll take it.
But that beer translated to
It was exactly what I
customers
wanted.
exactly. It was exactly what we were looking for that beer. We're malt heads too. I'm definitely a way hop head, but malt has something to say, which I think.
Well, people want that roasty, but they don't want burned. I love rye. I mean, we were just going over our new beers coming up for the spring, and it's like, well, calm the hell down on rye, because I want to make a smitten. You know what I mean? Like that smitten rye ale that, I think Bell's puts out.
Bell's puts out.
Right?
That's a great beer.
And that's a tasty ass little rye, baby. I love it. I just like that profile. Probably because I don't drink a lot of whiskey, so I get my rye through beer.
Makes sense. So one of the things that we had talked about is you guys only do a beer once.
So far.
It's
easy to say when you've only been open for 8 weeks, you're not doing it again.
Right.
That's fair. That's fair. So, and one of the things I'm noticing on the menu is there's a lot of versions of
Yeah.
beers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is there anything that you guys do in particular to update a version?
Oh, absolutely. Dave can talk to that.
Yeah. So the American, it's not on anymore. The American Pale, which is now 2.0. We made the jump from the 1 to the 2 when the yeast changed. So it was a very abrupt yeast difference.
Okay.
So when it's a major change, I'm a software engineer by day, so that's kind of what it is. If it's a major change to the beer, the actual version will change.
I got
That's
you.
not to say that we won't continue to make the 1.0 version, but it's a different type of beer. So with the pale ale, we meant to get hazier and softer with the 2.0 because that's all the rage right now, right? But we still like bitter beers, so the 1.0 pale is more of a bitter beer. So if that clues you in at all,
It does.
But a lot of that is kind of the yeast there.
Okay.
On different beers, though, that idea changes, right? Because on this beer, the Malty Amber, it will just be that we'll change a malt. We're going to
Okay.
just change one malt, and we'll just continue the version up. So this is 1.0, it'll be 1.1, 1.2, and it'll just be a different malt to showcase in each one.
Okay. So it's not necessarily something where you guys brew it and just sort of tweak it here and there. It might be something where maybe there's a supply issue or something like that, or just case by case
Well,
basis.
we only make beers that we have the supplies for.
That makes sense.
So in that way, we sort of work in the other direction. We create a beer in our mind, and then we make that item.
Okay.
And then if it fits an older recipe, it would be that again. It would be the 1.1 rye wine, or
Okay.
it would be the vanilla Belgian 1.0, 1.1. If it isn't, then it would be changed. It would be the 1.3 or 1.4.
Okay.
So if especially if we're doing normally all the IPAs you're going to see do essentially what our blonde ale had done, which is we were on like a 1.6 or something, and then our IPAs are 1.7.
All right, it's because we're just going to change the hop profile.
We've done
Okay.
that many different profiles on those beers
Gotcha.
I gotcha.
over
Okay.
time. So and they're all distinct beers. If you put, obviously we've all had Mosaic before and we've all had Simcoe before, and if I've made two beers with those as like smashes, your average person would think they were totally different beers with body and yeast and everything because they don't know the non-savvy.
Right.
When really it's just a hop change. And then we also do different splits. So we have our next purchase in the back. We're going to get two smaller fermenters so we can split yeasts again because we like doing that.
Okay.
With like the exact same beer body, just
Right.
two yeast finishes that are different
So you
shelf.
can compare what the yeast does.
Yeah, and then we like to let the customer have that experience in the
Yeah.
front. So it'd be like A and then B.
Because that's what we loved about homebrewing.
Yeah.
We did that homebrewing all
Yeah,
the
yeah.
time, and it was fun.
Yeah,
Right,
I mean,
so-
we've split recipes not necessarily with yeast, but like different additives. Like I know Adam's done a cream ale where he split it, did one just a regular cream ale, but then did the other half of the batch coffee.
Right,
So
exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
So yeah, homebrewers know about spitting and
Oh, yeah.
splitting.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's just interesting though, because that's something that you sometimes don't. Well, you don't see it, you don't know about it with some of these larger scale breweries. You can taste it sometimes from year to year in like a Goose Island Bourbon County Stout or even like a Trogs Mad Elf or something. But they don't distinctly call out that the recipe has changed. You have to you're left to your own devices to figure that out. I like that you guys do that. I think it's really interesting, and that way, I'm sure you have a master recipe book of all the versions. But then, as consumers and customers, we could come and we could try different versions, and we could decide for ourselves, what works best for us, what we like the most.
Well, actually,
Absolutely.
and our
That-
recipe book is open to
That's
you.
what I was going to say. That master list you're talking about, that's all online. It's on our website.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Every
everything.
single ingredient,
Fantastic.
Back
every
to
beer we
when
produce.
I think the last beers of the Berg, every beer that we brewed from there forward, which it takes you from the beers of the Berg to the Big Pour, every one of those beers is out there. There's some detail that could probably, if someone was brewing it, you would ask if you wanted to know the water profile or
Like salt
how much
balance.
actually hops we throw, because we do all the hops by percentage, like what IBU is being. But yeah, they're all out there. So that's where the master.
yeah,
I mean,
so
I do obviously have software, and I'm keeping track of that as well.
Right.
Beersmith is wonderful, but
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
register
Oh,
your
yes.
version. It's awesome.
Yeah, I think that's pretty cool. Like, just keeping track of it with a V, 1.3 and whatever. It also fits you guys' kind of chemistry, motif that you have going on. But you might as well just give out that website now that you mentioned that you have.
AbjurationBrewing.com.
Yeah, AbjurationBrewing.com. Yeah, just
ABJURATION brewing.com.
See, now that's a sexy radio voice.
I was gonna say.
The Velvet Fog of Abjuration Brewing will tell you anything you want to know about hop profiles. But in that way, it sort of is a decent response to the person who comes to me and says, "This was the greatest beer, it changed my life." And I say, "Well, then make it." The recipe's there. If you love that beer, it can be your beer, and you can make it for yourself for the rest. Empower yourself, And now, if you don't want to be a brewer and go through all the rigmarole of having to wash things and lose Saturdays, I understand. You much prefer that I made it for you, and then I'll do my very best to get it back in the rotation someday, but only in deep heartbreak conditions, because it's all with a standard business model. Always tell the customer no until you just have to say yes. So in that way, we ended up selling a couple more pieces the glassware than we wanted to at Christmas. Because how do you tell somebody that their brother who came out from Arizona at your opening loved your beer so much you wanted one of your glassware? You know what I mean? So you just got to give it up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like at that point, it's not even the human moment of the customer interaction. It's so much more. You know. So,
Yeah.
And that way, we're just starting now to have like return customers because we've been open for 2 months, and that's the neat part is like you see the cultists,
Yeah.
the people who are on your side. You know.
Haven't I seen you here before?
There were a lot of lonely days, and Dave and I are back there laying tile in the back and coughing on like cement dust, and is it even going to work, and all those kind of real, actual human tragic moments. And then now we were at New Year's, and it was like, hey, we're open. Like right now we're still getting the fine tuning with the state together, as far as being open every day and like doing all these other things to get the legalese through. And I think hopefully this should be a good year for even the community and for everybody.
Well, I can tell you that you guys have 3 more return customers.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
for
you.
sure.
Thank you.
That's right.
Well, it's quality over quantity, so we're glad we got you.
Yeah, that's right. And speaking of quality, I mean, this beer is nothing short of that. I mean, it's excellent. And one of the things that I like about drinking beers like this, I mean, I'm a hopped head till I die. I will take the hoppiest, citrusiest, piniest beer I can find, but that doesn't pair well with everything you're also eating, and I really like to try to pair beers and food together. And this beer, I feel, could just go so well, with
Does it go well
anything.
with Subway?
You know what? I'm glad you said that, Tom. 'Cause I wanted to mention it on the show at some
It
point.
looks like it would go great with a sandwich.
I wolfed down a whole spicy Italian Subway footlong right before this show without a sip of liquid, and damn, I wish I had this malty amber ale to like slowly drink as I just ate that thing bite by bite. So I think it would pair nicely even with that.
I feel like I would go a little bit further and say that it would pair better with food that isn't trash. Sandwiches.
Man, we were so close to getting that check in the mail. We were so close.
I know, Steve just ruined it. You show up to podcast recordings with bags of Taco Bell, so tell me about quality food.
Yum Brand Foods is an amazing organization. We love all of their interest in their future.
I don't try to, sell it in any way. I also try to keep the guests good beer away from bad brands.
Well, one of the things, we had one of the customers come over the other day, and she was saying she didn't notice one of the elements of a strawberry. She was like, I don't really taste the vanilla. And I was like, did you go out for lunch before you came here? She was like, yeah, we had atomic spicy wings. I was like, oh, okay, well, that's okay then. I'm really sorry you can't notice the vanilla. We'll do our best for next time. Because I'm not going to argue with the customer that their palate has been blown out by abuse.
Right.
Exactly.
I was smoking Pall Malls all the way here, drinking rock out whiskey, and then your beer doesn't taste balanced. Like, okay, yeah, you're right, my bad. Golly, we sure will work on that. So, and one of those things, I mean, also, I would, for just as a genuine note, drink more water, everybody. That's all. Like, it really helps out with your palate when you're out drinking beers. A lot of people come over for the full flight. They don't ask for any water, and they got their phones out, and they're rating stuff. You're like, you should really be drinking water if you're going to be that into a hobby. One little step, and you won't have a headache the next day when you go to 5 breweries.
The classic 2-to-1 ratio.
Absolutely, the golden ratio.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Golden rule: drink before you rate.
Absolutely.
Well, I think we're about ready to have a little bit of water then, as we clean our palates off and get ready for segment 2 and beer number 2.
I was going to say, after that beer and that Subway, I could use a good palate cleanse. So while we go do that, everybody stay tuned. We'll be right back at you after a short break with more from Abjuration Brewery and the owners, Tom and Dave. So stay tuned. Welcome back, Hop Nation. Once again, we are here returning to you live from Abjuration Brewery in McKees Rocks, Pennsylvania. These guys are located down in the Parkway Center on, what is this, Broadway, yeah.
Broadway.
Parkway Theater, not
Parkway
Center.
Theater.
Parkway Center is the mall that is pretty much gone, right?
Yeah, don't go to the Parkway Center.
Don't
Although
go
the
there.
Giant Eagle is still there.
It
and
is
it's
still
kicking.
functioning.
So
I don't know how.
The actual street address is 644 Broadway, and we're going to have a sign up finally after 2 months of operation. So we got to the printer. They said we have it in a day or two. So finally, if you drive by, you'll be like, oh, no, it is there. We're so close to the Parkview Center because it is more of a center than a theater a lot of nights. Because they do, occasionally they'll just put up movies, and just because the space isn't being used, they'll just throw a movie on. And they don't promote or anything. They're free and stuff like that. But birthday parties are in here. Local businesses do meetings in here. Aaron Stubna is the guy who does the coordination for that. He's in the other room running his business right now as we're talking. They're doing a karaoke night out there. Last Friday of every month is jazz. They do stand-up comedy every Fridays. It's a really great venue. Almost every night of the week there's something going on here. They're normally closed Mondays unless there's sports. And we really just need people to know that there's a little jewel in the back alley of McKees Rocks, and you come out and enjoy it.
that's good. So all the loyal listeners, they'll be able to find this place no problem, and they'll be able to come down here and get some fantastic beer. So here it is, segment 2. We're going to be drinking again here very shortly, and we're going to hand it back over to Tom and Dave to introduce our second beer of the show. So, gentlemen, what are we going to be sampling here next?
All right, so this is the Dippa. Yeah, I can't remember the hop profile, so thank you for handing me that. Normally I would know it,
Well, there's so many beers that we go through that they do go into a bit of a fog. You're like, we know the hops we used in the last one was like HB 431, all these other
a lot of it is like I'm looking forward. I'm like,
Yeah,
what
right.
are we brewing next?
What's next?
You know what I mean? So, all right, so this one is it's 3 different hops. It's in order of the usage rates. It's Amarillo, Ariana, and Mosaic, which you guys probably know 2 of those. Ariana is a newer German hop.
Yeah, I haven't heard about that one.
we used that one before, and we really liked it. I can't remember what in the heck we used it in.
Yeah, no. I got nothing.
We used it in something, we really liked it, and we thought it would go well with other really fruity hops, so we threw it in here. And this actually is a little bit more bitter than we wanted, but it has been very well received since we opened. This came on the weekend we opened, and it's been well received. It was our first beer we sold out of house. We sold a 6-store of this to Mad Mex, which is a soft spot for me personally. That's kind of where I fell in love with craft beer, was at Mad Mex.
I know that feeling all too well.
Yeah. Many late nights with my girlfriend, now wife, at Mad Mex early on, and so that's this beer. It's 8%, not on the higher end for a dipper strength wise. Like I said, it's a little more bitter than I had planned, but I do think that I like overall how it turned out. I don't know that I would want to change it if I did it again. So that's the beer.
Cool.
Enjoy it.
Well, as a hophead, I couldn't be more excited to drink this.
It's of the clear style.
Yeah,
too.
it's
I was going to
really
say, it's not
super
hazy.
gorgeous.
Yeah,
The original intent
Great
was
clarity.
to make it hazy, but as they
that's okay. Not
Yeah.
everything needs to be hazy.
Yeah. it's more about the flavor and the aroma.
Yeah.
We had some learning there too.
Yeah.
So we've learned through failures and through like marginal successes as much as our wins. And one of the things we found out is our cooler was too cold at one point. We never owned a cooler. We've been storing all of our beer in refrigerators like everybody else. And so you put a keg in a cooler and it's down to like 37 degrees or 35 degrees, and because you love the cold beer and it gets through the time, the customer likes it, comes out super cold, but everything falls right out.
Yeah, they all dropped clear.
And it's like, oh no way.
Well, we did get that dialed in with the newer pale ales.
As we go, and then hopefully eventually they'll look like milkshakes like they should.
I'll tell you, this one has a really big hop profile on the nose.
Yeah, I was going to say, you could smell the hop. It smells like a double IPA, that's for sure.
Yeah, it smells. It
The
has
aromatics
that,
really stood out.
yeah, it has that citrus fruitiness about it too.
So just out of curiosity, what is the IBUs on this one?
It's up there. IBUs are very, I'm sure you guys probably know, IBUs are very misleading nowadays.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of brewers now, we're all doing big whirlpools. And the science on the whirlpool of like how much bitterness is actually extracting there isn't exact right now. So I don't have it on here. If I had my phone on, I could look up to see what is estimated. It's on the higher end.
Gotcha.
For sure. So that would probably be, I know you're the one who does not like hoppy.
That is correct. But I'm going in with an open mind. I'm willing to try it for the style.
Let's just say that extra sample sitting on the stool right there would probably not be drank by Adam.
I mean, there was no way we weren't going to do a hoppy beer in one of our three.
Right, absolutely.
I mean, that's my love, my baby, so you're just going to have to suck it up.
Oh, man, Dave, I tell you what, I like your attitude. What are you doing next week at this time?
I think we're going to be drinking here again in the theater with you. Come on back.
Maybe we'll come back and you can put Adam in his place again.
We'll call it the Abjuration session. You guys just come in, we'll just have beers for you.
Perfect.
We have 5 more on tap right now you haven't had. So. After these 3.
Part 2 next week.
But one of the reasons why we're at the brewery, our prices, I think, are very accessible for the neighborhood. We have our samplers are $1 or $2, and then the medium pours of almost everything is $3 and $4. And we made our beer with our hands. You know, we get an 8-ounce pour, a half size, for $3. Like, if you live here and you have anywhere near a $7 an hour job, you didn't lose an hour's worth of labor to have something in your neighborhood.
Right.
You
That
know?
you're not sure you're going to like.
Yeah, right. As you walk in, and we have a lot of people that came in that Malty Amber Ale. Really won over a bunch of guys that came in late on, and they were like, "What do you got that's like a Yingling, or what do you got that's not like going to hurt me?" And I'm right with it. And they came back week after week, and they've been here like 3 weeks in a row. And when that beer goes, I'm gonna have to tell them when the next one's coming on, because we actually have another Malty coming up in series that we're like pretty much looking for the malt now. And to highlight, because it really did work so well. And that was one of those things where you, as a customer, get to speak to us, and we respond directly to you, and pretty quickly. You know, whatever, like the latest beers, we were inching the ABV up on them because the customers would like a little stronger beverage. So we're, you know, instead of it just, and by half point or a point here and there, and then you satisfy the customer until you don't hear any more feedback. Like, we have somewhat of a media presence. We're trying to push the brewery being open, but we aren't really trying to. We're not trying to take over the world. We have a very small system. We just want people to come out, especially people that love beer. I'd rather have 3 people that drove here an hour than 300 people that live next door, if the people that come here love the beer we're doing. So that's to me. I mean, everyone that comes in that walks to the other side of the room, because we have a liquor license in it, and gets a craft beer, I'm just flabbergasted. You know, I was like, come right over. You know, this is definitely it's a new thing. It's a little jewel in McKees Rocks. And I can't wait for people to, I sort of am happy for the secret not being totally out yet, because it does let us still have these intimate moments where we get to talk to you guys.
Right. Yeah.
When you came in and you get that real one-on-one experience with the brewer, you know, I mean, I could bring you in and you can smell the grain cooking in here sometimes when you're up front. You know, I mean, you're in the brewery in not just in a big tanks, walking around in mazes of hoses and tubing. This is a real small kettle situation, and you can literally see the few kegs as they get filled and everything. And that's why we have our fermenter temperatures up online, so you can get in the brewery with us as much as possible.
Okay, that's awesome.
You know, we want you in. Like, you can't stand next to me. Like, we couldn't put 80 people stirring with me, but I want 80 people to feel like they're stirring the beer with me.
Yeah. Nice. That's really admirable and something.
Yeah.
You know, a way to really give back to your customers.
Well, without them, we don't exist, too. I mean, in no small way. I don't know, it's hard not to talk about things that we want to make as we go forward, too. There's we're looking for some collaborations. We've been talking to some local businesses that are not just other brewers, but there's a distillery that I've been talking to about getting funky with, and some other places that we were looking at. Revival was down the street, a coffee shop, and they're no longer with us. They moved on to another form of business, so unfortunately that was a collab we didn't get to do, because we want to keep it as much close to McKees Rocks, obviously. All ships rise. But one of the things I'd like to be caught in public saying is how much I'd like to thank all the other brewers in town. Dave and I, as we were putting this thing together, had nothing but support from everybody we talked to, from literally from the newer guys in town that were struggling when we were, like 11th Hour, Grist House, Brian, Steve at Roundabout, and Diana, of course. Some friends of mine at Full Pint, literally just other friends at Church Brew Works and things like that. And there was no lack of people telling you exactly the best answer, not just an answer, trying to help you succeed. And it's really humbling to finally get there on the other side, and with hands up, pulling you up. Nobody's just watching you struggle. In fact, they helped us with legal representation all the way down the line. It was really amazing.
Wow, that's really awesome.
That's great to hear.
Yeah, that's awesome.
The hidden part
to get
about
that
Pittsburgh is
firsthand.
it's a brewers community in this town, and we don't necessarily get to each other's breweries every day because we're busy making our own beers. But there definitely is a family feeling, and we all want to succeed together. So it's really, that's the one thing you guys don't get to see on a customer end or an immediate end is how much help. I mean, from amazing things like offering to share grain purchases to
Stupid questions about taxes. I mean,
right? Yeah, I mean, because it's really tricky working with the state, and they're not there to help you. They're there to pretty much get what they need from you,
which is money.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a big budgetary hole, and they're coming for it. You know what I mean? Then the sins are where they're going to find it at. They're going to find it in tobacco and alcohol, firearms, and all those good things. So,
yeah, it's really great to hear that everybody's so willing to help, but it's not something that we haven't not heard before. Just through interviewing other brewers, we talked recently with guys at Timber Creek. I don't know if you're familiar with them.
Yeah.
I've been to I was at their spot in Grove City, and we went to eat. And,
that's exactly where we were.
I love that spot.
Yeah.
I'm like. Normally, like my family, we go up and we shop at Grove City, and we would always go to North Country. That's kind of the last thing we did. But now I might have to stop at Timber Creek now and then.
Yeah.
That's just an awesome spot.
Yeah, but I mean that's the same sentiment that the brewer up there was giving us. That everybody in that kind of Erie area was pulling everybody up. So it's not hard to believe that everybody in Pittsburgh is doing the exact same. So yeah, great to hear.
Well, before we get on to any more questions, I just got to talk. I got to get on the mic, and no one said this yet, but we can't go on to any more questions yet without talking about this beer. Because that's a hophead.
We didn't talk about the taste. I'm sorry.
We talked about the color. We talked about the big, brilliant hop nose on it, but the taste to me is even better. This beer is fantastic. I think the hop profile is great. It's hoppy. It's smooth. It leaves a nice, clean, kind of slightly bitter finish.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I like in my IPAs and my double IPAs. And it drinks just like it should. Hazy or not, I don't care.
Yeah.
This beer is great, and I could have a glass much bigger than the one I am drinking now. But kudos to you guys. This is fantastic. I love it.
Thank you.
Yeah, agreed. I'll go 2 out of the 3 of us here. This is definitely a knock it out of the park double IPA. This is what I'm used to growing up with as far as double IPAs go. But
thank you.
Yeah, it's got that real rich kind of citrus taste to it that it's not uncommon to find, but it's so good when you find it done well. And this is done really well.
thank you.
You guys feeling lucky?
This is the one you've been waiting for.
It's okay. I mean,
Even if you were harsh, I say this to a lot of our customers. Tell me what you didn't like.
Sure.
We get so much positive praise from your 90% of your customers, but I want to catch the 10 that I need to actually come back for.
Right.
And so in that way, I'm much more interested in what you have to say, being a non-fan. Everybody loves the Beatles. But the guy in the back who's got his fingers in his ears, I want to know what he's thinking.
Right.
So,
Well, bottom line, you guys are going to get me back here anyways. So you don't have to worry about that. But for this beer, what I like to do with the big IPAs and double IPAs and things like that is I always like to look at it in terms of the style itself. I already know that I don't like the style, but I can appreciate what the style is. Mm-hmm. And for this one, as these guys said, for the style, it is really good. I do like it. It still has that hoppiness. What I like about it is it has that hoppiness. It has a little bit of that hop residue that the hop heads would like, but not enough that it would completely turn away somebody like me.
Not so far over the top, right?
Correct. Yeah, it's good without being overbearing.
Thank you.
And that's what I like about it. Would I order it again? No, but that's because of my personal preference.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
He wouldn't order it again. He would find something else to drink, but
Yeah, that's fine. More for the rest of us. Don't order it anymore.
So that's the thing. I wouldn't order it for myself, but I would recommend it to somebody that does enjoy IPAs and double IPAs.
Oh, thank you.
That's the way I would put that.
I call it being at the birthday party. So you're at anywhere in Pennsylvania's birthday party for a kid between the ages of 1 and 15, there's going to be a keg of beer there, and it's going to be horrible. Right? So you can sit around and argue that it's not your style of preference, but are you going to drink it again?
Yes.
There you go. Right? So at the birthday party, I can be caught drinking any number of beers with a smile on my face, playing cornhole and watching kids walk into chairs like everybody else.
It certainly passes that test, no problem.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you very much.
The birthday test. We may incorporate that
Yes,
for future episodes so Adam can
birthday
just
test.
get it out real quick. Yeah, this passes the birthday test.
Okay, there we go.
Well,
A staple here on the Hop Nation USA podcast.
when we were first coming up and making beers, a lot of our friends would be like, I don't like this style of beer, but I like this one. My roommates would say that to me. And I would be like, that kind of makes you bashful. You know what I mean? That's the kind of praise that we really like. You know, like, I don't like Belgians, but I'll drink yours all day. It's like, oh, well, I'll just cry a little bit. Oh, you got me in my soft spot, you know?
All right, Steve, I've said my piece. You can ask your questions now.
I don't know if I have a question. So one of the questions I have is, all three of us, we came to learn about you guys from Beers of the Berg.
Yep.
And that's where we first had that Belgian vanilla monster.
It's coming for you soon.
Yeah.
The third beer.
Yeah, that's all. I mean,
Thank God.
hint, little preview. So I guess my question is, like, have you guys gotten into any more brewing events? Do you have any coming up? Is there anything that like sticks out to you from doing all these brew events around Pittsburgh?
We talked
because
about it today.
there's hundreds of them anymore.
They're everywhere.
I think I got this one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, so first to touch on the Beers of the Berg, like, total shot to them. That was like kind of we owe a lot to them. It was kind of a playground for us because we were home brewers probably when you guys were there, and that was market research. We wanted to see if we had a product. So you guys helped establish that we thought we had a product.
One glass at a time.
Yeah.
You're welcome, guys. Glad we can contribute to this brewery opening up.
Well, that's what those beer festivals are for. Like, also, you know, always make sure you go to the Edge tent.
Yes.
You know what I mean? A lot of people go to those festivals, you know, and they're making sure they get their, you know, I'm sure Pliny the Elder isn't sold anywhere near here, but
Yeah.
at that Vermont Beer Festival, that's got a line out the door, you know, and the Russian River tent or whatever. And then when I go to Michigan breweries, you know, Founders has an obnoxious number of people lined up, and you see some like little place like Kunin's or something up there, and it's okay, you've never heard Kunin's. It's a very small.
Yeah, no,
brewery.
we haven't. That's fine.
And, my brother did a story on him once for his media job that he does.
Cool.
And they're a great little tiny brewery, so I always make sure I go to their tent to see what they're doing. You know, and that's what I think. The festival for us, you guys coming over, gave our dreams a reason to be happening. You know, because before that, we thought our beer was great, but we always thought our beer was great. I was drunk at the time. I thought it was great. You can't trust me. I'm the one drinking, you know?
Well, I will say, when we had the Belgian for the first time, I think that was either the first or second beer that we had in the entire festival.
Yeah. Right.
So we were not drank. We were not drank.
We were not drinking.
Well, I will be in a different state, obviously, when I try it this time around. But we were not drunk the first time we had it. So
No, yeah.
good stuff. We didn't. Our palate was not affected.
Yeah, I'll definitely just say, like you said, go to the Edge tents, go to find other stuff.
Yeah,
We've talked about this before on the show. Like, we've been to so many beer events now. We're kind of used to most of what's going to be there, so now we go seeking out, you know, what we've never had before.
What's new?
Like, that's
What's
what we
different?
do now.
Yeah.
Yep. So to answer your question though, which now I totally forget, I was about
Our
to say.
festivals this year.
Festivals. I mean, we're going to be pretty limited because we're a small brewery. But obviously, Beers of the Berg is a soft spot, so we'll be there. I don't know if Mark wants us to say that we're going to be there already because he hasn't announced, but we'll be
Right.
there, of course. I think it should be a given.
Or we'll be doing it in the parking lot behind his back.
Yeah.
No, kidding.
I mean, unfortunately, we've had to turn down quite a lot. You know, now it's about the season. Everybody's planning all their spring and summer events. Everybody does a lot of, you know, stuff for really good causes. You know, this is to help this farm or to help that or to help that. We're just not there yet. Our primary focus has to be this tap room for right now to get our footing. So, you know, unfortunately, it'll be pretty limited. There is a possibility we are a part of the newly formed Allegheny County Brewers Guild, I believe is the name of it. And there may or may not be a festival coming from them, which obviously we would have to support. The only other possible one that you could possibly see us at would be the Big Pour, because it's also a soft spot for us.
But that would be in the fallish.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, other than that, if you want our beer, you're probably going to have to come here. I highly doubt we'll see kegs roll out of here that often. Just because of what has happened in the past couple of weeks, we're going to have to be a little bit careful about how fast the beer flies out of here. So,
Yeah, we even in the bad weather, we've been trending up every weekend, and it's pretty interesting. Like we sold a barrel last weekend, and we made a barrel.
Yeah.
2 kegs.
Wow.
Like, throughout all the different beers and whatnot. But that's, for most breweries, that's the perfect sweet spot. We may not see that again in the life of the brewery where we sell exactly what we made in one particular week, because it's always going to be more or less and whatnot. But it was a really nice moment when the machine just ran the way you wanted it to.
Yeah, I mean,
like abstract.
And it also fits what we want to do, because we want a new beer every week.
Yeah.
A brand new beer to come. So if
And there's
we
a
can
challenge
sell
to
enough to sell a beer, so.
You know, one of the things, what's your staple beer when you're first coming in? We're like, sorry.
Yeah, we don't.
I mean, but in
Oh, sorry, that sounds good. I'll have that.
And we always had to take the conversation more to like, well, what do you like?
yeah, what do you want?
Yeah.
When I was coming up, I had a beer that I took to a friend that was working as a manager, and it was a rice IPA that we'd made, and it was I was originally trying for much higher ABV, but he's like, oh my goodness, this is it right here. Just bottle this. This is your flagship. And I was like, you should really meet all my sisters before you fall in love, because it was the only beer I'd ever tried that I'd made, and I was like, yeah, this one is pretty darn good. It had Victoria's Secret hops in it, and it was really yummy from Victoria, Australia. It was really yummy. Vic Secret now, I guess.
Vic Secret, it's called.
Yeah, and it just, in that way, technically, a lot of, if you come here next weekend, you're the customer who hears this podcast, and you come in, you're excited. I hope they don't feel bad about the few beers they didn't get, right? Because they're getting ones that the people that were there then didn't get. So it's an embarrassment of riches with the number of beers that we have in the cooler. If we had more tap handles, you'd have more beers on. At one point, we had like 11 beers in the cooler and 8 tap handles. Wow. So I mean, we're throwing beers.
Yeah.
Awesome. So.
Well, that's exciting though, especially for folks like us, because you come down and you're getting something new. And I'm sure there's a lot of other craft beer fans in Pittsburgh that like the same thing. I mean, we could all think of probably a brewery, even around here, that we've been to, and every time you go in, and it's not a knock on the beer itself, because a lot of it's very good, but you see the same 5 or 6 beers on every time, and then maybe there's 2 or 3 new ones that are rotating, and if you've had 1 or 2 of those already, you might only get to try 1 new beer, where with you guys, I mean, pretty much every time you come in, there's going to be something new. You never know what you're going to find. It's awesome.
Depending on how long it was since you came in, it could be a total turnaround of all the taps.
That's exciting.
And that's a push on us to keep you appraised of where our beers are. We haven't really been talking about the ones as they're kicking, but we try to put that up on our social media, on Facebook especially. This beer's going, this one's coming on.
Last chance.
It's like last call on certain beers. You're going to see more and more of those posts.
Yeah.
Like our chocolate hot pepper stout with habanero is going to be gone probably.
It's not going to survive the weekend.
Yeah, Friday or Saturday. It's, so you see them and they're like, it's really delicious, but that's a dead man walking. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to be a used to have as of next week. It's a used to.
Dead man walking. I don't know if I've ever heard someone reference one of their beers as a dead man walking. I kind of like it though.
Makes total sense.
Compliment.
It's actually been flying out like that. It was it's a nervous making beer when you talk about like habaneros and stuff, because people are expecting a practical joke punch to the face.
Yep.
And ours is very mild. It's our winter warmer. We just want it to have a little belly warm, a little back of your neck. Reminds you that there's peppers there. But you can drink a pint of it or take a growler home and share it with friends, and you're not going to be pouring any of it out the sink the next day.
I mean, I would agree. We've all had it, so I think it's definitely perfect for the season.
Yes.
With the cold weather right now, that's one of the perfect beers that I could have during the season. It is something that's spicy, but also a nice chocolate stout.
You can drink other beers, and it didn't beat you up for the day.
Yeah.
It wasn't your last beer. Oh, well, I guess I'm going home and crying now.
Yeah, that's it.
At least for that reason.
Yeah, right. Well, exactly. The Uber driver didn't think I was cute.
We've all been there.
Yeah, I know. Or funny in my
2 stars.
Yeah. Didn't laugh at my joke. 1.5 stars.
That's funny. Well, I think we enjoyed this beer because it's pretty much gone.
Yeah, everybody drank theirs.
We either got about 1 sip left or none. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know if there's too much else to say about this beer. I think I said it all, at least for my personal opinion. I love it. And, quite frankly, I know we're not having it for segment 3, but I wouldn't be disappointed if we just drank this again. Because this is great.
Really nice.
I really like it.
You could always have a sidecar of it.
That's true.
The taps are open.
I may not say no to that.
It's never how the shows work, Sam. You can't we haven't repeated a beer yet. So you can't just start repeating them between segments now.
We could,
Shows are meant to grow and develop.
absolutely. And as a person of Irish descent, I believe I'm entitled to say we could Irish handcuff them and put one in each hand.
Fair enough.
Not going to say no to that either.
We just won't use the duct tape like we did in college.
You know what? If you
That's
give me
the
the
old Edward 40 hands
Yeah,
game.
exactly correct. Yeah, we do it with samplers here. It's pretty awesome.
Classy.
I don't know if I want to mess up this glassware with duct tape.
We did get a lot of praise. Just to take a little second out to talk about the glassware. We ended up having that made in Canada, and it was we would have liked to have sourced it here, of course, but they were just hard to get.
Well,
and,
not the samplers. The samplers
the
are
samplers
just
are easy.
the samplers just
These little
like
eight
they're,
ounces I'm looking
if you notice, the samplers don't have our name
Logo.
on them.
No, they
Okay.
don't. I didn't notice that until you said that.
So I shouldn't have said anything.
Yeah.
So.
But we're actually looking to get some of these made closer to home here, and it really is neat where you get an active choice as a business person to choose everybody you deal with. Mm-hmm. And so the first thing is remember who was good to you, and be nice to everybody. Let's get to this third beer.
Yeah, just a quick question before we go to break. You mentioned glassware was sort of on sale over the holiday. Is it on sale for sure now?
It will be in the next couple months, so it's
Okay.
it's a capital purchase. It's right there with. We'd rather get a canning line together or like some more fermenters before we make that second glass purchase, because it ends up being kind of a big 3-digit number.
I get you.
Yeah.
But man, it's right there. You know, like if a magical $5,000 fell on me tomorrow, we'd have them in a month, because they do take some time to turn around.
Right.
And there's been a lot of people asking about them, so
Yeah.
we
They're
will
cool
get,
glasses.
We will get them. So it's just a matter.
Well,
of
a lot of people are in STEM degrees and stuff, and they're just like, this is on my desk. and so you would think we'd have a lot of theft issues. But no, I think I can't account for one piece of glassware in weeks of being open. And I mean almost 12 weeks of being open. People seem to respect that we are struggling mom and pop style, and they don't and we're doing what we can to get them their fun merch too, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Plus, it's just a giant dick move to just steal glassware from a bar. I mean,
And if,
honestly.
and if we see your picture on Instagram,
Yeah, I'll be holding up a glass. Those guys weren't looking, and I got this.
well, but in that way, I mean, the glassware is designed. If you have humbly at best, I could say a decent beer should be in something that's decent to look at. And we get a lot of great buzz, and we're very thankful for the people that take a moment to take a picture of our glassware and the drink in it, and to say the time they had when they were drinking it on social media. It's a heck of a driver for us, and that word getting out has actually it's been one of our leading pushes for us.
Yeah.
And it's all this new business model with the internet. And that's what I really feel bad for about the legacy brewers that set the stage for us. The people that have been in town forever that are going to get pushed by the nanos, because we're coming in and we're going to make these neighborhood breweries a reality everywhere. And you get the guys like Stone, and you get the Smutty Nose that took a shot. I do feel bad for them because they got us here.
Right.
But
They opened the door, but on the other hand, now you can do it yourself and do it for your crowd and your audience and the people that you love.
business it doesn't end up being fair, but at least you can be fair about how you do it.
Right. Awesome.
More words of wisdom right there.
I know.
He's all full of wisdom.
I was gonna say, I think with that, we'll take a break. We're gonna refill our beakers here, and we'll be right back with one more segment and a big vanilla Belgian-y treat for you, Hop Nation. So stay tuned. Hop Nation, we are back, and we are here in the Parkway Theater in McKees Rocks, Pennsylvania, with Tom and Dave, the owners of Abjuration Brewery. We are sitting here smack dab in the back of their movie theater, drinking some great beer from Abjuration, and we are dying to get into this third beer. Are we not, gentlemen?
That is 100% correct. I've been looking forward to this beer all night.
You're correct, sir.
We know what it is. We've had it before, and we can't wait to drink it again. But just so the audience knows exactly what we're going to be finishing the show with today, we'll turn it back over to Tom and Dave to introduce our third and final beer.
All right, so this is the Vanilla Belgian. I actually don't even have to look at the menu.
You know what this one is.
Maybe also I've had a little beer flown, so there's some stuff comes back. This is it's a monster of a beer. It's 15%. We use a yeast from the yeast company that's called the Yeast Bay. Rumor is this yeast comes from the brewery that's called The Brewery, which is Bruery.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know where this yeast comes from, but it ferments like wine, meaning it takes the dryness down to a wine type of strength. That's how we get it so high. We've actually been called out by a couple of people whether it really is that high.
The bobber don't lie.
It is that high. And so it's actually a pretty simple recipe on the front end. It's just a lot of Pilsner and a couple of other little crystal malts, but mainly just a lot of Pilsner. And then we age it with vanilla and a lot of vanilla and fresh oak. Right now we do spirals. Eventually that might actually be a real barrel down the road. But the key to this beer is fresh oak. This is not oak that has been used for something else. This is something more. So that plays into that the yeast ferments like a wine. Wine is aged in fresh oak. So it brings a much different characteristic, I think, to the beer that plays well with the vanilla.
Which is real source bean vanilla from Madagascar.
Of course.
Because you got to, unfortunately, and fortunately, with the size of our system, we get to use really neat ingredients, but then they, of course, cost a whole bunch of money.
Right.
And especially vanilla has skyrocketed.
Yeah, we've made so many beers with vanilla in a row. It's been kind of an embarrassment.
Yeah, we've spent a lot of money.
Yeah,
on
upscaling this one would be a bit.
And what's really funny
Absolutely.
Yeah,
It would be tough.
yeah.
It would
And
be.
what's really funny is somebody warned me about vanilla early on. They're like, you should buy a bunch of vanilla right now. Well, they said, do you use vanilla in your beer? I'm like, oh, yeah, we use a lot. Like, you should buy a lot because it was, I mean, if we would have bought it 5 years ago, it was a lot cheaper.
Of course, things do degrade over time, but absolutely. Right.
Yeah, sure.
Vanilla futures are awesome.
So, yeah, that's,
Stuck to
Enjoy, gentlemen.
yeah.
Yes, we will. And I mean, this beer, I mean, just reassessing it again, I think it's actually probably the darkest beer we've seen tonight.
This is darker than the first one.
The amber ale would be a little.
The amber ale's a
Yeah,
little
that
dark.
amber ale is close to a brown.
Right.
Maybe they're starting to turn the lights out on us here in the theater. I
Well,
just can't
the
see.
one thing that you really get with it is it's essentially a triple body in that way.
Yeah.
So it's a blonde on the blonde side.
Yeah.
Of the Belgian world, so a lot of people think quads are always really dark, and so it would be a quad strength, but it's more of the blonde triple.
Yeah, it definitely has that nice golden Belgian about it.
Yeah, it definitely does.
It was just giving one of those.
Yeah, this
you
is
guys
one
can't see me getting all brewery happy with Dave. I'm like, that was beer talk.
He's had a couple beers now. So.
Sorry.
This is one of those beers that's very hard to classify. Like I'm trying to pick the drop down list and Untapped of what type of beer this is. And I didn't even know.
I think
So
I think
picked-
the best I could come up with, if I had to classify it, would be just an American strong ale that would go like along
sure.
along
Yeah,
the
that
lines
might-
of like a Mad Elf or Dukla has one called the Colossus. That it's like a 15%. It has no real classification. It's
Yeah.
not necessarily a Belgian, but it will punch you in the mouth. But it has like really good flavors in it.
No, that's a good call. That's a good call.
And that's where
that would. You know what? That probably fits that. I might have to go change
Like,
that because I think right now I have it as like a Belgian golden ale or something
Yeah,
like
right.
that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, I'll go with that too. I believe. I'm a believer.
Well, one thing is that really plays into the Abjuration name, and then that way, we don't necessarily want to hunt styles down.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to make the world's greatest stout according to style, right? I'm trying to make a great stout that
But
you
we
want
won't
to drink.
make that too.
We'll get there. Version 1.95 will be right there. But yeah, in that way, like to me, does it matter what you call it? Well, the strawberry milkshake ale doesn't exist, but it's a darn good beer. It's super yummy. A lot of people loved it. We promoted it. Had
I
fun
still had
with
to pick a category in Untapped. So.
Yeah, right. What'd you do? What'd you do now?
Fruit beer. I didn't
Fruit.
know.
It is a beer with fruit, so well done. But I mean, eventually I want to do a chai stout. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
But that's
That would
gonna
be
be
like a
like
spiced ale, maybe.
yeah, spiced ale. I mean, but and the naming conventions are from before craft beer existed in the way that we're doing it now. Like if you look, you have now almost 6,000 breweries, a big 5,000.
I think
Making beer.
I think it crested 6,000.
Yeah.
At the professional level.
Right.
So the home brewing now,
I know.
if during Carter, when he said it's cool to make beer in your house, 1978 or whatever, 79, to now, you have a bunch of chemists and a bunch of garages, and they're all pushing the envelope. So the fact that we're even calling things by style, it's almost it's almost an old way to do it, and so we'll get there. I mean, you still have to know what to call it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I don't want to hear like a split pea soup ale. Like, what is that all about? Like, I mean, I get it that's a little too weird.
Is that a challenge?
I think you know what I mean. I feel it. I do. Well, it's gonna be on nitro.
That's how you make it extra thick and creamy.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
Dude,
man.
You're almost hired. Watch out. I'll stay away from you guys if I can. He seems to got the eye.
Got to believe.
So full disclosure, I've had a version of this beer before, and this was actually the first beer that I had from you guys. It was Beers of the Berg, 2016.
All right.
And I remember having this beer. The three of us were there. There was a whole group of us, but three of us were there as part of the group. And I went over, had that beer, and I immediately went over to these two and said, "You guys have to try this beer."
I think it came down to I was actually standing next to him in line, and then he just looked at me, gave me that look with eyes wide of, holy shit, what the hell is that?
Right.
And then I was like, I'll take that too. Oh, hold on, give me that too.
Yeah, that's
And then we immediately found Sam and were like, hey Sam, you have to go find this.
Right.
I was doing shots of Jaeger in the bathroom.
Yeah.
But I came out for this beer, so that should probably.
I want to
say
make sure I
something.
got anise in the way of my palate, and because I was driving a Kawasaki motorcycle on the way home, so I figured I'd have as much liquor as possible.
Exactly.
So then way to get those handstands on 65.
Couldn't drive home, so I took a horse. Did a horseback back to Dormont.
As long as the horse wasn't drinking, I don't think it's a DUI.
No, but they frown on horses going through the Liberty tubes.
Oh, that's awesome.
Unfortunately.
Well, now because of you.
Trendsetters.
Problem.
But no, bottom line, this is a fantastic beer. It is one of the best beers I've ever had, and that is not blowing smoke. That is not blowing smoke. You guys can honestly check my Untapped afterwards. Check the rating. Open book, just like you guys are.
Cool.
Check it out after the show. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about.
That's very humbling. That's very humbling.
And that's all I have to
great.
say about that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Wow.
What's really funny is the version that you had at the Beers of the Berg was the 1.1, and we actually stepped it back for this. So we brewed this beer. This beer is actually the brainchild of someone who was part of the brewery before, who's now just our graphic designer.
Which we love.
We love him, yeah. But
And the graphics look great.
We had a 1.0 version that we brewed with his initial idea, and we liked it. And then we did a 1.1. We tried to change it to make it better. Wasn't better, and so for the opening here, we stepped it back to the 1.0. So to go back to the version in question from earlier on, if it's not as good, we're going to go,
Right.
it's not always going to be a jump forward.
Fair enough. Yeah, hey, that's smart. I mean, if you're that objective about your own recipe that you can say, you know what, this just wasn't that great. Let's go back to original version. Something Windows never learned to do.
Windows 10 burned me so bad. Oh man, that's a whole other podcast, like you said right there. How have updates done me wrong?
How have I been screwed by throwaway culture?
What devices have been bricked by an update?
Yeah.
Well, I'll tag in my 2 cents. It's great. I love it. Let's get on to the next segment. I mean, it's great. I'll just say ditto what these guys said. I mean, it's a great beer.
Yeah.
I've had it multiple times. Last time I was at the brewery, which was the first time I came since you guys opened, I had it. Having it here tonight, and damn it, the next time I come, I'm going to have it again as long as it's on tap. So.
As long as it's available.
It should be around for hopefully, we have a fairly good idea about how long the beers are going to last now. And this one has at least 6 weeks, unless we start getting crazy busy all the time, and then hey, sorry about that.
Yeah, I mean, it'll definitely be on for February. I think there's no question about that. So
Valentine's Day looks really good if you're going to come here with your significant someone, or you just want to hold hands with me. I'll be fine. We'll get through it together. We'll just drink the higher ABV stuff first, and then I'll make sure you get to your Uber, and I'll see you guys all later. And so that'll be fun. I really think as we go through all the different parts of the seasoning of our beers, that's another reason for us not making the same thing all the time is we're coming into spring now, so all the new holidays are coming up. I want to do something for St. Patrick's Day, something red probably, things like that. But it's hard really to make those guarantees as we go forward because there's so many beers we want to make. It's unbelievable. I thought this would be harder to make fresh beers at this point. I thought we'd hit that point 16, 18 beers in where we're like, oh, what we're going to do next? And it's not even close. We have 20 beers in Sharpie on the back wall that we want to make, and we're constantly arguing about like the third beer, not the first beer, the second beer, the third beer away from what we're doing now in the future is just up in the air all the time because we're so excited to make new stuff. And if anything, we hope you're excited for it.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
Well, I just wanted to throw like maybe a little quick question for you guys. We're here in a movie theater.
Absolutely.
So I know they show like a lot of mainstream stuff, and they also show some of the indie stuff. I just wondered, have you guys come up with any pairings of your beer with some of the movies they've shown here, or if you have any idea of a movie and a beer that you would pair if you could today in here?
Absolutely. That is something I was talking with Aaron, again, Stubna, who runs the front of the house. I'm looking into seeing, I mean, the Cherry Blossom Festival is coming around. I really want to do something like a Kurosawa Film Festival, but like, it's just so much money. It's prohibitive the first year. 2019 is going to be great for beer and movies here.
You don't have to hire him.
Spring,
He'll just keep showing up.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we love this. We love this. Many hands make light work.
Kurosawa may be cost prohibitive. I know Takashi Miike has Immortal Blade coming out. You could maybe try go with that one.
That's really good. First run stuff is very expensive.
Yeah.
But like I said, 2019, definitely, once we're past our 1 year mark, we're going to have a lot more flexibility. Right now, we just have really been fighting a struggle with the state to get to where we need to be. And we had to, lawyer up, like they say, you know what I mean? So that was a little extra money. And then we need to buy a little bit of metal just so we can keep the beer flowing smoothly. So that takes up the money that we want to do with the movies is really sort of being limited by what we really got to get the house finished. Because we got our toehold. It's more of a D-Day situation where we got the beach covered, it's quiet, the troops are coming in. We got the grain supplied. We're heading in deep. We're going to do this, and we're going to be here. One of the things I think Dave and I managed to pull off with a very shoestring budget was cautiousness, and so we're very edgy with the beers, but with the business we're very cautious. So we just have to stop. Yeah. It's like a SimCity game where you're essentially you got 10 points this month. What are you buying? we got a little bit of plastic for the back. We bought literally we're arguing over not arguing like discussing like adults. Yeah. Just sounded like arguments to strangers. That over hoses we wanted to buy. Right. Like I wanted to get 4 more hoses, and he's like, those ends cost $15 a piece, and I'm like, oh. Because like a $60 swing is a big deal to us right now. We would have legitimately 2 more tap handles on for just a couple $100, which is when you tell 2 friends to come out, I get to buy more stuff, and you get a better brewery to come back to next time. Like, again, this is a synergy of Benjamin Hoff wrote these books called The Tao of Piglet and Day of Poo. I really recommend you guys check them out. And because they're about Taoism. And the one thing you learn is The Day of Piglet is the book, and it's about the virtue of the small. One thing we can do because we're little guys, hopefully, maybe little girls sometime too, we'll bring some people into the brewery once we can hire, is that we can do things you can't do bigger. And so we want you to have that advantage with us. You can go to a big regional player and have their beer that they make for everybody. Or you can come to a place like this where you can't get it anywhere else. It's just not available in bars, and you can't get it at Whole Foods, and they're great at Whole Foods, and they really have good beer deals. I'd recommend.
Sam would attest to that as well.
I live right by the Whole Hills. The Whole Foods in the South Hills.
Belgian will get you.
I second that. The giraffe list is amazing. The bottle selection is amazing.
The price is unbeatable.
So good.
The hack for beer right now. If you aren't going to Whole Foods to get your beers, I don't know where you're going, because you're spending maybe 30% more than you should.
Yeah, which is interesting because the food at Whole Foods is about 30% more than you should be spending on food.
Absolutely, I totally agree.
30% less. So just go in and get the beer and then get the hell out of there. You rip them off. Screw you, Whole Foods. Screw you, Amazon. We're going to take your beer at these low prices and get out of here. We'll buy our groceries at Aldi, Trader Joe's.
Or, get some of your local pizza shop and make sure that stoner kid gets to go to college. You know what I mean? Buy a pizza off somebody local. You know what I mean?
Man, since you got the beer so cheap, give that stoner kid a beer too.
Exactly.
If he's over 21.
Guard him hard.
Guard him real hard.
It's a feel, examine, ask, return. That is what we say for ramp training.
All right. Wait, Tom, did you even give us a movie and a beer pairing yet?
He did not.
I did not, but it would be a rice IPA with a Kurosawa film. Would be fantastic. I'm actually trying.
Possibly with a sake yeast, which we have used.
Yes, absolutely. So
I've heard of brews being split that way, where they use like a common beer yeast, but if you're also putting rice in there, you also have to use a sake yeast to break it down properly.
Yeah, we are really naive in that part yet, and we're learning that as we go.
It's something that I just looked into because
we had a home run. We got a home run with the first one we did, and we're gonna look at that in very, very, very short term. Rice IPA is one of Dave's choices coming up soon.
That's coming
and
up.
then my high ABV is coming right behind it. So you're going to see some fun stuff down there. My only worry was that in today's new media climate, I was wondering if it was an appropriation issue. Because I took Japanese in college. My grandfather was occupation troop in 46. I found a strong family connection with that kind of idea of Japanese culture, especially post-war stuff. And he used to see those movies in theaters and told me about it. And so to me, like, I immediately fell in love with Kurosawa, as you know, and I thought, I literally was thinking about that when I was making that beer. So in that way, I'd love to do a pairing, but you know, we do try to be conscious. You know, we want to be a good corporate citizen. But I mean, I don't know. I think that would be great. You know, or I would do Miller's Crossing with a heavy rye ale, because he's a rum head.
Right.
Nice.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, because that was like the only pairing we've really talked about doing. So
I think I would do like essentially like a really dark rye porter with like Miller's Crossing, which is a really old Coen Brothers gangster movie that very few you'll probably see. It's a good one. Like 1986. It's one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, that one's back there with Barton Fink.
Absolutely,
that's an old one. Yeah.
But that's one of the things they do a lot here. You'll just see, like, you know, just old run movies just thrown on. You know, nobody's really paying attention. I showed my brother the place, and we were looking at one of the like Indiana Jones movies we just put on for a second, and I was like, "Oh yeah, so let's get back to the bar." And he goes, "Are you kidding me?" He's like, my brother and I are, you know, really close. He's like, "We're gonna stand here and watch Indiana Jones and drink this beer, goddamn it." Like, oh, I'm sorry, my bad. He's like, because he hadn't seen it on the screen this big since he was a kid.
Clearly, it wasn't that new Indiana Jones film, or he would have been back at the bar in no time.
No, it was actually where the bald guy and him are boxing before he gets hit with the propeller.
Oh, the original.
He wasn't leaving that scene at all. He's like, I'm where I need to be right now.
Yeah, you can't walk away from that
Yeah,
one
that
scene.
scene's amazing. All right, Dave, how about you? Do you got a beer and a movie you'd throw on here at Parkway Theater?
I don't. I'm a bad podcast guest in that way.
Strawberry Blonde Ale and Kurosawa.
No.
Or Kira, rather.
Strawberry Blonde Ale and Mean Girls.
No.
Yeah, Mean Girls. Oh, that's actually good.
I know. Who wouldn't want to watch
Hell
Mean Girls on this theater? I would.
Or Bring It On.
Yeah, Bring It On's not bad. The original one.
Brr, it must be cold in here. We got a lot of tortoise in the atmosphere.
I don't know. I mean, see, it would be very hard for me because I would try to just pick a movie that I like, and I don't even know where I would go with that. I would probably go some World War II movie or something like that. And
Saving Private Ryan and a Belgian?
No. I mean, what would you pair with a war movie? I don't even know.
Something high ABV.
I think it's more challenging to pair a beer with movies. I think that's actually trickier than with food. I think with
Dunkirk
food,
and an
it's very-
ESB.
There you go.
Yeah, that would work.
Yeah. Or the SHB that we're doing with Jester right now.
Yeah.
Just to talk about one of our beers.
I mean, I guess you just have to have a lot of talking points, I guess, with it.
Yeah.
I guess.
Well, that's one of those things too that Dave and I bring definitely a master blaster sort of synergy to what we're doing to talk about movies. You know, like there's a lot of it. Like, you know, I always try to make sure that Dave gets to keep his family time too. That's one of those things that we, you know, we're a business, but we have real lives. You know, and so you always see me bartending, but it's not because Dave doesn't want to be here. It's just he also has other demands on his time. So in that way, I think the business has been going really well. We thank everybody that's been out to it to support us. We were just talking about some people that showed up to when we were selling growlers in the alley in our first weekend, and they were just giggling about it. Like
Our first month, really.
Yeah, they weren't. And to us, those few people that showed up kept our business going in a very dark time. And so to those, you know, 30, 40 people, it really meant so much to us that they came out. I'd like to, if they ever hear this, I hope they understand what they meant to us.
I hope they do.
Sorry.
Oh man.
I hope they do, because that means that's good things for us as well. If people are listening.
Synergy.
Yeah, but I think those are some pretty good movie and beer pairings. I'd be down here. I'd be down here for some of that.
Hey, the great thing about the Parkway Theater is you come down here, you go to Abjuration, you go to the bar, you can drink whatever the hell you want in here. Watch whatever movie you want. If you're watching a good film, a classic, and having a beer with your buddies, it's always a good time.
It's the American dream.
Seems
It
like there's
really is.
usually a food truck outside on
Yeah, you
weekends
get some
too.
food.
So,
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, the last guy we had here is actually a first-generation Syrian immigrant for the Axis and Chris truck, and he's a really wild guy. He's supporting us, and he's still struggling. Like, it's interesting when you see all the little guys getting together and little girls getting together in Pittsburgh right now. It's the year of the food truck as much as it is the year of the brewery, and I think if anything, it's the year that get it started. I think 2018 should be really amazing for Pittsburgh, and just get out of your house. Pittsburgh is a cave culture. We all want to live in our houses and watch Netflix because the weather's bad, and we get sad. And the best cure for seasonal affective disorder is a beer at a local place and eat food made by someone who cares, and come out. We'll see you soon.
all right,
I
then.
couldn't have said it any better.
We could end that show on that note without doing anything.
Had to wrap it up right there.
That's choking me up, literally.
Well, but speaking of wrapping it up, I mean, I think that wrapped it up. That's a good summation for 2018 for everybody listening.
Absolutely.
But here on the Hop Nation, we like to just take a little bit of time to give the beers a little bit of a ranking, even though I mean, it doesn't really mean that much, but it means
Especially tonight.
yeah, especially tonight. But I'll start really quickly. Just a bronze medal for me would be that amber ale. I thought it was really good. But I'm not the biggest amber fan, so that means a double IPA is going to do a little bit better than that, which is why that's a silver. But there's nothing that compares to that oak-aged vanilla strong ale. Is it now?
Yeah, it might
Strong
be.
ale, Belgian.
Yeah, I think it is.
That is such a knock it out of the park. And one of the things that we didn't talk about, even though it has an ABV of about 15%, you do not taste any of the booziness. Like, I don't get any kind of burn on it. I don't get anything off of that. It is so smooth and easy drinking, and that's why I love it the most. Adam, how about you?
So for me, this comes down to essentially styles. There was not a bad beer in the bunch, and I truly mean that. But for me, in the bronze medal position, it comes down to the double IPA, and the reason that it is there is simply because of the style. It does not match up with my individual tastes, and that's the only reason that it's there. The silver medal, that's got to go to the Malty Amber Ale. That's a really good beer. Like we talked about in segment 1, that is a great gateway beer. Anybody off the street, if they don't know anything about beer, they can have that, they can enjoy it, and they would come back for more. Unfortunately for those two, they came up across the Vanilla Oak Belgian Ale, and that absolutely blows the other two out of the water, and that says something. And I hesitate to say this simply because I'm afraid that it's going to sound like I'm just blowing smoke up your ass, but that beer is one of the best beers in Pittsburgh.
You've already said it's your favorite beer ever.
I have to reiterate that, but that is one of the best beers I've had. It is one of the best beers in Pittsburgh, and I don't think I can say anything more about that. Bottom line.
Just want to interject about that beer before you go, is that we're going to use that yeast again for other stuff. So I'm very curious to see what it does. So I hope, in general, we hope to make more beers with that yeast of that strength. Because people have loved it, not just you guys.
Right.
So.
Let us know when that's happening. We will be back down.
Absolutely.
All right, for me, third place taking the bronze tonight is the Malty Amber Ale. And like these guys said, that was a great beer. great gateway beer if you've not crossed into that craft beer realm. It's a good place to get you started, especially coming down here to Abjuration. Great place to start. For me, I haven't been at the craft beer gates in about a decade or more, so I'm way past that point now. And although I love the style, I appreciate that beer. I'm always looking for something more. But I do recommend it for those that are looking for something. I know we didn't want to use the term staple, but something's kind of an entryway into the other beers that are available at this brewery. Next for me is the Vanilla Oak Belgian Ale, and I'll probably put an asterisk on this.
You damn well better.
By saying this was actually probably my favorite beer that we had tonight, but the only reason I'm putting it in second place is because I really can't drink all that much of it. I'm feeling a slight buzz after about the 4 ounces I had here. And to me, sometimes I want to drink that quantity, and if I have too much of this, I'm going to be faced out on the floor in the brewery, and they're going to be mopping me off the Parkway Theater floor and into the alley. So for that reason, I'm going to put it in second. And to me, number one is going to that double IPA. That beer was absolutely phenomenal. That's something that I could drink multiple glasses of. Love the hop flavor, the hop residue that it left on the back end of your palate after every sip was just fantastic. And that's a beer that I would get probably every time I came in here, unless of course there was another double IPA that I hadn't tried. I'll try that one too, and probably drink this one as well. But it was great. And being a hop head, when I come to a brewery and try an IPA for the first time, that's what I want. I want to feel satisfied. I want to know if I dished out $7-8 for an IPA, then it delivered and then some. So, and this beer definitely does. So for that, it's getting my gold medal tonight.
All right then. Good marks all around, I would say. Definitely love all the beers they have.
Not a bad one in the bunch.
Right now, I'm just going to turn it back to Dave and Tom. Give out any plugs, like website, upcoming events, upcoming beers, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, this is in my wheelhouse here. So, AbjurationBrewing.com. We don't have a mailing list. We do everything right now on social media. So we have both a Twitter account, a Facebook account, and an Instagram account. Typically, we post stuff on all three of those of stuff coming up. We keep food trucks and whatnot as events on the Facebook page. It can be kind of annoying to have it as events, but that's more for the community, because the community sees those. McKees Rocks sees us, because not everybody's following the brewery. And so, those are our just if you want to keep tabs on us, just our website always has our updated tap list. It also has all of our events on there. So really, our website is kind of the hub for everything. There's also a link to our Untapped there, so you can give us a 2 out of 5 to make me cry.
And we do really appreciate you guys' interest in us, and we do hope to see you for all the other beers we're making this year. At least, you don't have to come every weekend, but if we see you once a month, I don't think we're going to hurt you.
Awesome.
All right, then. Well, with that, I'll just give out our little social media bits and doodads. If you want to find us on social media, we're on Twitter, and Instagram, and Facebook as well, and you can find us by searching Hop Nation USA. And if you want to listen to brand new episodes of the Hop Nation USA podcast, just search out Hop Nation USA on Stitcher, Podbean, Google Music Play, and iTunes. And if you're on iTunes, subscribe and leave us a 5-star review, because we are a 5-star show.
You're damn right.
Woo! And if you're just looking for the website, go to hopnationusa.com, and we have features and reviews that you won't find anywhere else, as well as all of the episodes of the podcast. That's all I got.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us, guys.
Thank you guys again
us.
for being on the show once again. Dave and Tom, owners of Abjuration Brewery in the Parkway Theater. If you haven't been down here yet, definitely get down here. Beers are amazing, and be quick, because some of these beers that you're hearing about on the show today may be gone by the time you get here. But I'm
sure they'll have something else good
have some
on.
more, yes. all is not lost, that there will be more great beers right here on tap for you.
Yeah, I just wanted to reiterate what Sam said. Thank you guys for being on here. We greatly appreciate it. I will certainly be back. No doubt about it.
Awesome.
All right. Well, we'll see you next week, Hop Nation. We're going to go probably drink some more beer, because it's super fun, and I don't know if we've had enough yet. So
I want to see what this strawberry milkshake's about.
Yeah, so we'll see you right back here next week for some more hop fun. Take it easy. Have a good weekend.